Welcome back to another Linux Gamecast Weekly, the show that covers the latest Linux gaming news, reviews, how-tos, and most importantly, whatever the hell else we come up with. This week, Steam Direct is live, but unfortunately, Greenlight didn't go without a fight. And were you waiting on the Two Worlds 2 port like I was? Well, don't give up hope just yet, little buddies, because it just might show up as paid DLC.
And on that day, the Chosen One learned something very important. Never mind that crap, more XCOM! Epic isn't really paying anyone to work on UE4 for Linux, but that's not going to stop one dev's quest to get paid for his work.
TechSpot had a really slow news day, and in their infinite wisdom, decided to bring up the Steam machines, and IO Interactive have bought themselves from under Squeenix. Can you smell the incoming hipster pixels?
Hello, beautiful people. I'm Vince Stone here at LGC Actual, switching those bits, doing the nightmare fuel. Everything you see around us, all into Linux, all on all the ends. It's quite brilliant and dangerous. We're just waiting for fires to start. Joined every week, our Canadian correspondent, that's our man in Toronto, reporting the business, keeping it real, and all the way from Space Portugal. You know him, you love him, you tolerate him. Yeah, he's still coming back every week, no matter what. The Pedro Mateus, and together with Shot Realm Dynamic joining us in Discord and in the IRCs. It's quite straight or die in a fire. I love it. Stop. My penis can only get so erect. Audio listeners, you got to go check that out, girlfriends. Helping us form that last little bit known as Cocaine Voltron. Before we get started, we like to see what's going on in each other's life organs. Jay, baby, you've had a working adventure this week.
Oh yeah, no, it's crunch time. Apparently, people can't get their shit together to actually meet some deadlines. So now we got to work over the weekend. So I was working today for about 4 hours. I'm probably gonna have to work a bunch more tomorrow. I'm so excited, you guys.
How's the move going?
Well, right now it's hit a bit of a wall because the real estate that is handling our renting business, all of it, has gone quiet. We've paid the administrative fees. It was almost 500 euros or 390 pounds. And now he's just gone quiet. So since I was planning to move on the 23rd, even if it does say something on Monday, we probably won't be able to move then. I don't know.
Well, over here in Vinland, not much. If you missed the Wednesday show, I got to play Hello Floor, Will You Be My Friend? Because my bouncy yoga ball chair thing decided to nope on me about 30 minutes before the show. It was fun. It was brilliant. Fortunately, the bowl was extra thick and came with a 2-year warranty, which I'm in the process of attempting to claim. I will keep everyone updated on that adventure. But bouncing back into action, like it does every week, is a horse.
And much like the Big Jim the Ball, extra horse is extra thick. It's the Steamworks update.
All right, man. Check it out. Direct, now available for your face organ. Yeah, they got rid of Greenlight. Now you just straight pay to play, man. Give them 100 quid. See what happens. Because, you know, if you do, they clearly say, hey, we have a couple of brief review periods where our team plays each game. This is coming from Valve, quit laughing. And then check, make sure it's configured correctly. To which I retort, Valve, no, you fucking don't. You know you don't.
That's what I said last week.
Nobody's buying that. And, you know, unless this team is like your team of dozens of unpaid translators, we'll probably get the same amount of quality. Not knocking the translation team because the Spanish team got fucked over. One of the downsides, what I was alluding to when we started off the show, is to clear out the queue, and the Greenlight was basically done. What they did was just dump what was left of the games onto Steam, which if you've been looking at the Steam store this week, that kind of explains most of this shit.
Yeah, no, and they also say that that's one of the things we were talking about last week, which was the fee. That whether or not you could recoup it, and if it was a once per game thing. Yes, it is once per game, and they say that this fee for each app ID is returned in payment period after the game has at least $1,000 at Steam Store or in-app purchases. That bit of information is new. So if you're releasing a free-to-play game, your only chance of recouping that cost is to load it with microtransactions.
I'm also sort of reminded of those walking simulator games that don't really have much of an opportunity for like paid DLC or anything like that. So it's like Dear Esther, and also you can pay for like ATSTs walking around in the background shooting shit. I don't know. But so not everything that was on Greenlight was actually dumped on the Steam. They had a couple games, a couple hundred probably, that they deemed we're not going to fucks with that. And so you can get your money back for your Greenlight submission fee if you haven't gotten a game ever put on Steam, or if you have a game currently in the Greenlight review that was never actually greenlit. So you might be eligible. Check the Steam support thing. Maybe get your money back. I don't know.
I don't know, man. Maybe it'll be a thing. It's just the one thing I noticed was an abundance of like 49-cent, 60-cent games showing up. Games with air quotes, but
got to make that grand somehow.
Man. They even updated that wacky moon operating system they have.
Oh yeah, and we'll dive a little bit more in depth to the circumstances surrounding this. But they do have an update. It's number 218. The big things here are they have that patch sudo, so that if you turn SE Linux on your Steam machine, you can't get your thing compromised. I'm pretty sure SteamOS doesn't fucks with the SE Linux though, because SteamOS does a bunch of insecure shit. They have a DualShock 4 fixed as well. I don't know. I've been using this guy, the DualShock 4, for a while. I've never had any crashes. Apparently, this was an issue on SteamOS. And for those of you on the AMD cards running SteamOS, because you needed to dual boot something, there's a new kernel and updated Mesa as well. So
yeah, they updated Mesa in line with the latest stable, which is 17.1.2. Which, if you're on regular Ubuntu or you have any of those weird couple repos, chances are you probably have that if you're using the Padoka Zero stable Mesa PPA that Feral recommends. So if you have an AMD graphics driver on Linux, just reboot into Windows now, please. Thank you.
Apparently, the Mad Max Vulkan beta also works on the open source drivers in SteamOS now, so that's kind of neat. You may have some luck with the Game of Thrones and chipset this week. But Pedro, you know, there were a lot of problems with Steam machines, right? First and foremost, I would say Windows, yeah.
Well, yes, especially if you ask TechSpot, because Linux is just the worst. Yeah. So, as I mentioned during the little rundown video at the start, they had a slow news day and they decided, let's piss off the Linux crowd, shall we? So they decided to look at what went wrong with Steam machines, and they brought up those...
Peter, are you trying to allude? Because, I mean, the first benchmark here is running at 2560 by 1600, and I was like, let's use that as an example. Why?
That's not even the point. It's that little bar graph that you see there is pulled from an Ars Technica article back when the Steam machines were released. And yes, games, comparatively speaking, between Linux and Windows tend to perform worse. And the article goes to lengths saying that that is the fault of Linux. And if you look at the comments, if you have to, please don't. It's pointless. People say, oh, the problem is Linux because the Linux performance sucks. Now, how many of those people, I wonder, blamed Windows for the crappy port of the original Dark Souls? I'm guessing none of them, because chances are they knew that wasn't their fault. That was the fault of the developers. And hey, here we are again. But to be fair,
programming for Linux is hard, Pedro. It's just
totally.
So hard.
But then again, they also say they bring up the fact that Valve released the Steam Link, which is considerably cheaper than any of the Steam machines that were being offered by their hardware partners, be it Cyber, be it Alienware, anyone. No one had something to compete with the Steam Link. The Steam Link was $50 on release. That's pretty good. So Valve, that was part of the problem right there. Valve undercut their hardware partners on the price alone. It's like, oh, entry fee for just regular game streaming if you already have a PC that can stream to the Steam Link? Yeah.
I don't know, man. I think at the end of the day, when you're doing that, you're comparing apples and wrenches. because one of them requires you to already have a box. The point of the Steam machine was to put a PC in your living room, right?
Yeah, and that was one of the major problems too with. And again, we've spoken at length about the many failings of SteamOS. The whole lack of promotion, the lack of compelling content, promised content that never got delivered. The fact that you can play all your games if you have another equally powerful computer that you can stream your shit to. And no, clearly Linux is the issue, despite the fact that they put a operating system or just a console into production with no software to back it up. At this point, console development is it's a known science now. You got to have the release exclusives. You have to have some compelling reason to convince people to actually fork out, in this case, well close to $1,000, because if you wanted a decent performing Steam machine, that's what you were paying. To play some Torchlight? No one's going to do that.
No, man, absolutely not. And listen, there's tons of reasons. Well, the Steam boxes failed. I mean, among them, the tech simply wasn't there. Steam OS was, and it still is in beta. And Vulkan, it was just a glimmer in the developer's eyes at the time. It was just a mantle, basically. Absolutely not in a shippable state. We're just starting to see Vulkan titles come out, and it takes a while to learn how to Vulkan, bro. Straight OpenGL, not the best thing for games. And you got to mix that in with hardware that was underpowered and wicked. I repeat, wicked. Overpriced. And seriously, speaking of, Valve didn't do the hardware for the Steam machines. They didn't have any skin in this game. And you compare that, it was like, well, what difference does that not tell you what difference that makes, Brad? You compare that to the Steam controller and the Link to a lesser extent. The Steam controller receives massive promotions every single week and price cuts and all up in your face organs and all that. And
you got Rocket League with it.
Right. Because guess what? Steam is responsible for that hardware and they promote the out of it. Now, Jordan, you tapped on a point. Exclusives. If they wanted to print these things and make sure they shipped over 1 million units.
Half-Life 3 exclusive?
It could have been Half-Life 2 Episode 3 6-month exclusive, nothing but Linux on the Steam machines, and those things would have sold. And you're like, you're crazy. And how many people own Nintendos for Smash Bros? I mean,
or Pokemons,
right?
Yeah,
yeah.
Hell, they announced. Oh yeah, we're having a Pokemon game in development for the Switch. I'm like, well, shit. I guess I'm buying a Switch. That is the thought process that a lot of people straight up have.
Yeah, and it's as much as I personally hated the whole exclusive thing, which is just holding games hostage to a particular platform. They do sell, and well, Valve didn't have any of that. And if you're targeting the console market, you need to target stupid people.
Right, and it's stupid, but it works. And here's the thing, 20 years from now, you'll have every game released on Steam for Linux in the first 5 years will come in something that's like a knockoff Steam controller that you can beam wireless into your fucking brain, because 20 years from now, that's the difference. But Feral has some new news for us.
They do. Oh, there was the one last thing from the last story. The one piece de resistance was, they say in the article, but why buy a Steam machine when for $50 more you can get an identical looking Alienware Alpha that comes with Windows 10? Just fucking die. And anyways, as you were saying, then yes, Feral has some new goodies for us. XCOM War of the Chosen is coming. It is an expansion to XCOM 2, which fared very, very well on the chairs. This announcement comes as a reminder to me that I need to actually go finish XCOM 2. Actually, I need to go restart XCOM 2 because I fucked up my save. But nonetheless, the expansion is inbound. Feral's got her back. They're adding a bunch of new enemy units. They're adding some new factions that you can court in the resource management minigame that they have in between the meat of the game, which is the tactical RPG shit. And they're introducing a couple new features. The one that interests me is that you can have squaddies that like form friendships and shit, so that when you use them together, they become more effective. And maybe those 80% like hit chance will actually hit, as opposed to, yeah, you got a 99% chance. Miss.
Mm-hmm.
Miss. So that would be interesting. Maybe what would also be kind of dark is if one of them dies, like both of them just suffer.
The only issue out of turn-based strategy is like, this one's pretty close to enjoyable, was letting you get to the point where you ended up with a false hope, and the RNG with the AI would just fuck you, and it would just be relentless with it to the point it was like, yeah, you know what, Alt F4, fuck this stupid game.
Yeah, maybe also fix the multiplayer so that it doesn't take years between turns.
You know, Farrell did sort that shortly after, I'm assuming, watching our video of us cackling manically as Jordan and during my turn, myself predicting the future like almost a minute ahead in multiplayer before it ended up on each other's end, right?
Yeah, no, what this, because Farrell likes to send out emails to everyone who has access to the press area. What this email did for me is like, oh, right, XCOM 2 was a thing. I kind of forgot.
Yeah. Apparently, they also have a new enemy that'll clone your dudes. I imagine that's just going to get annoying super quick. I hate those things in Disgaea. That's...
Okay, well, let's talk about the latest breaking technology that is a 7-year-old game. That's right. Two Worlds 2, not Two Worlds 1, Pedro, which I posted about this earlier this week.
I get confused because of all the twos in the name.
Pedro proudly pronounced,
Two Worlds 2 Worlds.
Which I proudly pretended to get a sentence out. Did that, posted it in our Discord chat, and Pedro's like, oh, it's been out forever. It works with the link. And I was like, Pedro, you know, one of these days I would fall over dead with joy if he had actually read something I posted before responding. But we are talking about Two Worlds 2 and this latest patch, this latest DLC, this latest update introduced a bunch of cool, wicked things. But the developer writes back, he's like, hey, yeah, that Linux thing. This is on the day of the release. Yeah, by the way, Linux is delayed. I'm very sorry, but we have huge problems with the Linux development. I'm very unhappy with this. We will assign new resources and make it all right. Having problems delivering your Linux build. Why not wait until launch day before you tell anyone? Because that's fucking brilliant, and that's exactly what you did, Brad. That's some bird culture shit right there. Were you too busy adding in the fucking microtransactions? Did that take too many resources? But we also added cards, and it was great. Check our show notes. All this business is in our show notes. Watching the developer defend that because what's his name? Jim Sterling.
Yes.
Blew them the hell up. I sit back and I watched most of that. And apparently the developer is somehow trying to defend this question mark.
Well, it's a new source of income for a game that came out in 2011. So, yeah, and assuming this is Topware, because it is, the guys that filed for bankruptcy at one point and then got bought by a company that was owned by the same people who owned Topware, and then now they're just Topware again. Yeah, no, they're not exactly the most above board developer out there.
Son, they went GTA Online on this fucker, didn't they?
Yeah, and there's an issue. There's a big issue with the game right now because the Linux version was supposed to come out with the Call of Tenebrae DLC pack. But, well, the Linux version is delayed. We know why now because the developer said, oh, yeah, we ran into issues. Yeah, could have mentioned that earlier. That doesn't even
piss me off. Communication. Yeah. Don't wait until after whatever the upgrade is out hours later until somebody asks you. Like, oh, yeah. Here's the thing. The goal was to get the this Linux port shit here. All right, Pedro, what do you think the odds of this playing out like this are? 6 months from now, okay, I'm being generous. 6 months from now, somebody else is going to ask, hey, whatever happened to the Linux port? To which they will retort, oh, well, due to the mostly negative feedback that we had from the latest upgrade, we've decided not to do the Linux. What the fuck do you want to bet that's going to go down like that?
I'm just...
It's either going to be that or they're just going to do what they did with all of their other games and make it a wine wrapper and say, here, have at. But I was kind of curious to see what this game was going to bring to Linux because it's supposedly using an improved version of the engine, which is totally going to be the Raven's Cry engine, isn't it? But yes, these are the same people that made the game Raven's Cry, and then Vendetta, Curse of the Raven's Cry. So that should temper your expectations.
They're not two separate games, Pedro. It's just one game. Yeah, I'm curious if this, I was legitimately curious if this is going to be a wine port, because remember they sent us some correspondence once upon a time asking if we'd be willing to port it with wine. If they're going to go the virtual programming route, which is just an entirely new heaping pile of nope to throw on this, or Raven's Cry Mark III. I guess we'll find out eventually, or never, because they'll cancel it,
or never,
or they'll just ignore it. Oh yeah, we never said this.
Well, hey, man, ladies and gentlemen, one thing that's not getting ignored, in fact, it's getting new things, is something that's
it
new.
Better have, because it only came out like last week. Yeah, this is Dawn of War 3. There's a bit of an update because a lot of people were complaining that multiplayer only has one mode and it's boring and the map is very similar to your typical MOBA maps. So the fine folks behind Dawn of War 3 are pushing out an update which will bring 2 new modes to multiplayer and a couple of extra maps. So hopefully that'll introduce a little bit of variety. But yeah, that one multiplayer mode you have right now. If you watched Ven and Jordan play multiplayer on Thursday,
I'm sorry about that, by the way.
Yeah, if you've ever played a MOBA for any extent of time, you looked at the map and it's like, oh, 3 lanes with random jungle interconnects between them. Yeah, and you were always relying on your elites to actually make a difference. Otherwise, the little mobs, your little tiny dudes, they were always clashing with one another and wouldn't make a goddamn difference.
So what are we getting? Dota Hammer? I mean,
pretty much. It's a straight up MOBA mode. Additional heroes just go straight to your opponent's lair and blow their shit up. Defend the ancients.
Okay, riddle me this. I mean, they're sitting around the board meetings like, how can we make people hate this game more?
Let's make Dawn of the Ancients. Yes.
I mean, yeah, we were, both Ben and I were pretty lukewarm about the Dawn of War 3 multiplayer. Lukewarm is a bit of a generous term. This is not going to do much to fix the fundamental issues with this game. Mainly, that it's not Dawn of War 2, but we'll get into that a little more in detail in mid-share.
We will be throwing chairs at it later on, so stick around.
Coming up next, though, oh my god, the flashing lights. They're so pretty. They've entranced me. I must buy it. Find out what?
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and everyone in between. This show, it started a long-ass time ago, but now it's made possible solely by you lot. Yes, you keep giving us money, and we keep shouting at you all the time whenever we can. It's insane, actually.
252 weeks, man. It's nightmare.
200. We're coming up on 5 years, and there's a myriad ways to give us money. You can head over to LinuxGameCast.com, click that support the show button. We got all sorts of crazy crap. We got Amazon affiliate links per region if you're in the UK, the Frances, the Canadas, or the Americas, Freedom Land. And if you don't want to buy stuff for yourself and give us money, you could just buy stuff for us. We got an Amazon wish list there. There's all sorts of neat kooky crap. No Intel processors though, but we'll get to that later. We got PayPal donate buttons, magic internet money, Bitcoin, QR codes, and if you want to give us some recurring love, maybe get some cool stuff out of the deal, you can always head on over to patreon.com/LinuxGameCast. It's wonderful, it's lovely. We got all sorts of good content there. We're about 3 episodes away from wrapping our commentary tracks on the latest episodes of Doctor Who. We got live streams enabled by this. There's Google Feud. There's all sorts of random shit you can just download and enjoy or suffer through depending on what you're into. Doesn't matter. We don't judge. Yeah. So if that's right. Old Frank over there. He's suspending the lovely people who have given us lots and lots of hardware, lots of cool little things. Those fine, upstanding cannibals get to go on the fuck wall.
Because they're fine, upstanding cannibals, man. Bradley. Cool. We got Jill and Steve. We got Mad High with the power supply. Erod 20, I think for the scaffolding, holding up the background here. Michael G, the webcam. Jill and Steve with the pain stick blinky things that are on me. We'll be using those. And Bradley with the sound cancellation. That's just stuff we're planning on buying on the wish list. You can go check that out. Maybe you can find some cool stuff you want to buy for yourself, because that's stuff that we're looking at. So you know it's halfway decent and it's not POS, so maybe something for yourself. If you want to use those links for the Amazon stuff, you don't have to do anything. Just click on them. You're going to buy the shit anyway. Let's face it. It's Amazon. And,
click on the affiliate link before you do that, though.
That's what I was getting to. But yeah, man, definitely do that. I mean, if you've been thinking about it, be like, these talentless hacks make me laugh, especially with the Patreons and stuff like that, because it makes it real easy for us to hook you back up with rewards, because we do dance like monkeys. People want to give everyone, helping us out a little bit extra, because we are listener supported, man. We don't have 19 ad breaks for a 1-hour show. It's kind of brilliant. We want to keep it like that. Thanks, everyone, for that business. So let's get some YOLO fuck-mothering swag up in this business. Creative Technologies announces the Sound Blaster XAE5 Doritos, son. That's right. Creative Technologies, formerly Creative Labs, has announced the impending launch of a new... They put RGBs on a fuck-mothering sound card is what they did. And, yeah... That's really all I have to say about this. I saw this on Twitter, proudly being announced by Creative, and I was going to say something along the lines, very much along the lines of the only thing stupider to slap LEDs on, RGBs on, would be, and I fucking drew a blank, man.
Dildos.
You won. You stumped me. I could not think of anything more moronic to have blinky LEDs on.
But it's it's literally a gaming card. They say it's part of the pro gaming sound card series. So it has to have the pretty LEDs and make sure that the 12-year-old screeching profanities in your ear sound extra crisp.
Now listen, I can already hear Chi telling me peace among worlds, because she likes that business, and Linda, that's cool.
Mm-hmm.
We're not judging anybody. I mean, each to their fucking own. I'm just saying, me personally, I went through that phase back in my day. Get off my fucking lawn. It was the Dremel, cutting the case out, buying the plexiglass, sealing it, getting the weather stripping seal around it and all that. And trust me, I did it. Nothing against anybody who's up to that. The fucking sound card. It's like at some point, Jordan, I think you got to draw a line.
I mean, if you're too good to use the integrated sound processor on your motherboard, because your CPU can do it really, really quickly these days, with being capable of Chilean's operations a second, or even, just one of this fucking thing, like a USB DAC. I have it plugged into my monitor. Mm-hmm. These are perfectly serviceable things that you can do to get a sound solution if you don't want to use the integrated motherboard sound. I've heard some audiophile friends of mine complain, oh, USB has an audible hum, to which I say, bleh. I mean, the LEDs don't even flash in sync with the sound. That would have been neat if you had oons, 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 and your computer would go oons, oons, oons in
we were talking about this earlier in this because I give it 30-35 minutes before there's a GitHub repo with that ability built in. And
apparently there's not even a controller for the LEDs. It's just plug it in, turn it on.
No. There's an LED controller. There's an LED controller on this sound card. Yeah, so someone's going to hack it.
It's a legit thing, man. And the 1700 R7 that I'm planning on buying is kids, you only got, if you listen to the pre-show, you got it tops 5 weeks before. Hopefully that's going to go down with my money. That way I don't have to live stream me building it. So, I think I'm going to win this bet. It comes with the Wraith LED cooler, and I was watching, because, I've already made up my mind. I was like, this is going to happen. We're going to do this because we can do a bunch of extra cool bullshit and some new show ideas with that CPU. But it comes with the LED controller header, and that's going to be the first thing I go whoop, right into the trash. And yeah, not a thing. But what do you think about this, Pedro? I mean, you got to do something to sell a standalone sound card in 2017.
You have to make it work. Although I guess if you want to make more money, then yeah, just slap on the blinky LED shit you can that you have laying around not using.
It doesn't even have a MIDI port, man. A MIDI port.
No, and it will run you. Not kidding. The base model will run you for $150. So yeah, if you want the Turbo Cocksmasher version, you'll have to pay $179.99.
Again, hashtag not the onion. Up next.
All right, but it's time for some technical hentai.
Yeah, up next, the Humble, they have some bundles that you should totally get. And then they have some bundles that maybe you want to gift to someone who you really know, that really likes visual
hentai?
Novels.
Yeah, hentai.
Atomic Ass, for one. It's because this is the Humble Sekai Project bundle, and out of the 17 games, only 5 of them have Linux versions. Now, I say games that's very loosely because some of these are actually kinetic novels. Those are the ones where you don't choose anything, you just click to move the completely non-interactive story along. You make no choices, you have absolutely no input, no interactivity, nothing.
That's just what a regular ass visual novel is, Pedro. But yeah, I out of sheer morbid curiosity, I did watch a comedy Let's Play of one of the Nekopara games, which is offered here. Yeah, it's straight up porn. Like it's a couple pixels shy of just being hentai. So I mean, if you're into it, you can pay what you want. If you pay $12, you get everything. If that is your bag, yeah. I mean the one gem from the Steam Direct thing that they did bring up that was actually kind of right was visual novels. They are popular with a specific segment of people. Most people don't like them, but they have that core fan base.
No, I mean, that's definitely, I think they even pointed out, this was like a segment that was completely underserved. It's like, we didn't know people were wicked into this. And that's definitely a thing. Yeah, granted, I just saw a notification on one of my Android tablets, and it's like, Humble, you're getting a little hoary with notifications about shit. Okay. But, I just tapped it and I was like, what's this about? And I saw that pop up and I went, nope. And minimized it. It's not my bag. Back to the text adventures. I think, fortunately, just kind of real quick back to Steam. These effort, some of them were voiced. Things were done. Work was done. Development was done. There is a countless amount of interactive novels that are whatever that program is. It's just a white damn screen with text, and that's
that's the what's her name, that was controversial for a while. She released the game with that, and that's what started the whole Gamergate thing.
Are you talking about Depression Quest or whatever the hell it was?
Yes. Yes, Depression Quest, that's the one. It was made with that engine. It's that engine that is just there. It's just text. It's like the old text-based
I was horribly disappointed. I heard about a game called Depression Quest, and I thought it was somebody that actually got a job. It was like a simulator working at a Microsoft store. And
yeah. And all you get is text.
That's called Suicide Quest, then. That's called Suicide Quest.
All you get is text. In some games, you actually get a choice. In others, it's just click to continue, click to continue, click to continue. It's like, that's a freaking ebook at this point.
Listen, printf is totally a game engine, you guys. Just printf all the things in your little C program. Next, though, did you know that Ethan Lee can kill Yak from 20 yards away with mind bullets? That's telekinesis, Ven. But he can also do some nice little porting jobs. So apparently Wonder Boy 3 is the next game that Ethan Lee is putting out on the... Well, he's putting it on the Mac so far, but, given how Ethan works, there's probably a Linux version inbound. This game comes from the guys who bring us a Sega Master System emulator. But... I mean, they've.
I had this.
Did you actually
on the Masters? No, I had the original, like Wonder Boy.
Oh,
I just realized this when I saw the dude with the shield and I was like, and the octopus. I totes fucking remember that.
Well, apparently they had made an OpenGL renderer for the game and then they handed it off to Flibit. So I mean, based on the screenshots there, it looks pretty. The updated version looks really good for a hand drawn 2D side scroller, and because it's Ethan, if a Linux port gets produced, it's going to work with your frickin' Atari 2600 gamepad, as did it on the original Master System. So that was a thing.
Yeah.
It's historically accurate. But according to Foxy, the game is actually pretty good.
Yeah,
I've never played
these are the .emu guys. If you bought some of the really old games on GOG, some of them are quote unquote ported with .emu. And there were a couple of at least one Humble Bundle that also had a bunch of .emu quote unquote ported games as well. So at least someone's making a proper port, and I'm glad it's Ethan. Sexy Ethan.
Yeah, man. Flibbity jibbity ibbity bitty bitty by Bo, man. Definitely rocking that business. This is the first thing I noticed when I launched Skype to get started on our pre super shows. Was I got a notification from Ethan. Happy birthday, man.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Happy birthday,
like a
Ethan.
fine wine, he keeps getting better with age. Oh yeah.
26, making me feel old, you damn whippersnapper. Hashtag war vessel. Coming up next.
Up next, we have IO
Don't shoot me,
Interactive.
Agent 47.
Yeah, and they're talking about the future, and that future seems to be a very indie one at that, because they have bought themselves. They worked out a deal with Squeenix, and they did a little management buyout of, their right as a developer to push out games independently, and the Hitman IP. So that is a good thing.
Well, I'm going to say, just right off the bat,
surface.
they never let go of the IP with Hitman Go. Even when they were acquired. I think they would have never gotten that. It would have never been given back to them, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, and with that, it's on the surface. This is a good thing. It's IO Interactive. Maybe we'll continue to see more games of theirs coming to Linux, although we don't actually know at this point, because Squeenix was the one handling the deals with Feral, because they're the publisher. And I honestly don't know whether or not we'll keep seeing Linux games coming from them. But if we do, I can actually smell the 2D hipster pixel Hitman spin-off incoming. It remains to be seen whether or not we will continue to see Linux games coming from IO Interactive.
Oh, I mean, it's true. The port deals usually come as a byproduct of the publisher, so it's gonna. I sincerely believe it'll be just sort of whoever they end up partnering with to actually get their games on the various storefronts will be the one who more or less determines what kind of stuff they do support. Hopefully they've gotten a good enough showing from Feral and from the Hitman Go, which was IDOS Montreal, so that wasn't exactly these guys. But hopefully there's enough of a good reception that these guys will keep on pumping out Linux versions. But Ven, maybe it'll just be exclusive to Project Scorpio.
Well, the first thing you're going to look at, I mean, they're now back in complete control, but also they're probably going to license the Jesus out of this, so I don't think we have to worry about continuing to get more versions. But yeah, I mean, I can definitely see Microshaft walking in, cutting out, just making it rain all over their face, neck, and chest. So any future Hitman IP is for the Xbox Triple XS whatever the fuck it is next Tuesday, and it's going to be totes exclusive, which probably won't happen, but if it did, yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. So somebody needs some love because they're doing awesome bullshit.
Oh yeah, they are. This is Yakuro. He's on Patreon. He's one of the guys who's been submitting all sorts of patches to Epic for the Unreal Engine 4, specifically for Linux support. And he has a Patreon set up. I was reading through his blurb, and one thing just set me off. Apparently, he's convinced that you should call Linux not just Linux, GNU Linux, but not just that, GNUX. And if you weren't doing a lot of good work, man, I would take a entirely massive shit.
Jordan, I mean, I for one personally don't trust people who just make up their own vernacular.
Absolutely, Ven. We got to get the cocaine Voltron up on this.
I mean, you have to be a real ass banjo to deal with that.
Absolutely. We need. Anyways, you're lucky, man. But we're still gonna pimp your shit because This guy actually wants to get the Unreal Engine 4 IDE completely workable under Linux, completely feature complete, and he's asking for some financial support because, Epic can't actually be asked to do it. It is one of the pros of a source available engine, though. But he wants to add the HTML5 packaging support, Android packaging support, and full Vulkan end-to-end support for Linux, which is pretty good. These are all things that I guess ostensibly you can't do. And really, the beautiful thing here is if you actually enable people to develop properly on Linux, they're more likely to actually support it because they go, hey, I don't want to have to switch to my Windows machine to test this freaking game. I'm going to test it on my box that I'm building it on. Herp, derp, derp. So he's also pitching some SDL2 fixes, some better IDE support, and bugs. So he's currently at $600 a month. He met his 550 goal, which actually had him commit to some of these fixes. And yeah, give this guy some money because he's doing the Lord's work.
Yeah, full kudos to him. Many of the patches he submitted to the Unreal Engine 4 editor have been merged into the main branch on GitHub. So he's doing good work, and it's Epic. As ashamed as they are of everything relating to Linux, they seem to keep merging his patches. Now, Epic is very much ashamed of Linux. I don't think why.
For a hot second they are. I think Epic are damn geniuses because they knew if they made it. Check this out, source available. Didn't call it open source. So fuck right off. They made the source available, dumped it out, and they said, yeah, watch this. It's like pouring a little bit of water on a fucking chia pet. It was like, just come back in a week and take a look. And what? 6 minutes later, the editor was up and running.
Yeah, no, the editor was up and running very quickly. But you can see that they're ashamed of it because if you look at the download page for the Unreal 4 editor, no Linux version in sight. You have to go digging around the forums.
Maybe because they only publish builds that are official?
Yeah.
I like how Pedro looks at this and he goes, okay, so they're only providing official supported builds that they do. Nope, clearly ashamed of it. Clearly ashamed.
Yeah, and you look at the download page for the Unreal Tournament game. Only Windows. You want the Linux version? Go dig around the forums. And I mean, case in point, if you go on Twitter, you look up Tim Sweeney's Twitter, he went out of his way in a tweet a couple of days back saying that, oh yes, open platform development is great on Windows, Mac, iOS, and Android. Did you really have to try and not work Linux into that? Because that desktop OS actually does fulfill the requirements to be called an open platform.
Pedro, he just listed the things making him money.
Yeah, I mean, there's still the notion of Linux being the toxic platform because, development on it is hard and it takes effort. And there's so many distributions you need to support and blah, 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 blah. Which, again, this guy, Yakuro, hopefully will help sort that out by providing high-quality dev tools for the Linuxes. And there's a lot of cool shit under Linux for developers not available on Linux.
And this is something
Windows.
we definitely need because holy fuck will people... sorry, there's some great developers out there, but there's a lot of shit ones that will immediately go to the excuse. Like, but it's not automated. It's just, I can't do it. Which, they fucking can. But, all right, that's cool. Whatevs. Okay, before we get out of here...
Oh, yeah. Speaking of game engines, Godot, our favorite actual proper open source engine, has some updates for April, May 2017. They got a progress report up there. The highlights include you can now theme the editor so you can make it all pretty to your liking. They're actually
I just like this because my brain reads that as goddamn native. And
you goddamn native. Show title. But they're adding OSVR support, which is interesting because we haven't really seen a lot of 3D games built on Godot. But their OSVR target is actually the HTC Vive. So it's possible to see that we're going to be seeing some Godot Vive games in the future. Maybe, sort of, kind of, not really, probably not. And the really cool thing is they have WebGL and WebAssembly support. Because someone apparently has been following Icky Butts' Twitter and they've gotten some ideas. They have a really rudimentary platformer demo. It works reasonably well in the Chromes and the Firefox and But it's just lots of good progress being made on Godot. It's a really high quality open source engine. Again, proving that development on Linux is actually pretty decent.
I'm just saying, man, this latest progress report's so damn hot, you probably want to break out, a little bit of cruelty-free deodorant, right?
Oh, gotta work that in.
Yeah, that could work, although you may need some cruelty plentiful deodorant, because they introduced mono/C# support. Why? I don't know. But there it is. Apparently there's one person, Ignacio, that's been focusing on...
Listen, you say that like it's a bad thing, but all you have to do is go to edit and click hard mode, and it takes you right into it.
Listen, it's there to hook in all the Unity devs. You're like, I only know C# because that's what my Microsoft-funded computer science course in university taught me, which is actually the case.
Yeah, so now you can develop in C# on Linux because no one's touching that Microsoft OpenSauce.net crap.
Hey man, I just got some mad respect as somebody who tried to set up that fucking build environment for a damn game. Never again. There's copies of Windows 10 that need installing before I would ever.
Hashtag new step.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah. So, coming up next, it's time to bring the hammer down. We're going to murder some goddamn heretics and purge some Xenos because we're throwing chairs at Warhammer 40k, Dawn of War 3. Dawn rises over the field of battle, illuminating bodies and blood and really tedious micromanaging of resources. This is Warhammer 40k, Dawn of War number 3 from Relica Entertainment and Feral Interactive, built on the lovely Essence Engine 4.0. You can pick it up for about $59.99 of your American currencies and goddamn $72 Canadian. Oh, that hurts my insides. Okay, what is it? Step into a brutal battle between 3 warring factions in Dawn of War 3. You will have no choice but to face your foes when a catastrophic weapon is found on the mysterious world of Acheron. So Feral sent us some keys for this, and so we are going to bring the hammer down and declare this game a heretic in the eyes of the Chairquisition. 1 chair means that it's garbage, 2 chairs means that it's meh, 3 chairs means that it's pretty decent, 4 chairs means that it's totally utterly amazing. We got our categories of doom mixed with the working shiny sounds, controls, and fun. So let's kick this off. Then, did the Vulcan-y goodness work?
Oh man, that's the business we're all going to be talking about, isn't that right, Frank? That's all right. So I played it with the Vulcan over here on the 8150 octo-core 980 powered UHD displayed box of business. I'm running the Ubuntu 1604 LTS dot whatever the fuck it is this week. Yeah, man. All right, check this out. I knew I wasn't going to get the best performance in the world, so I decided to just run it at the lowly resolution of 1080 with on the high preset. Nothing maxed out to YOLO and or swag. The benchmarks lies, don't pay it any attention whatsoever. Actually get into the game and play it. In game proper, you're usually averaging somewhere between 30 and 60 with an 8150 paired with that 980. Multiplayer, played it with J Baby. You can go check our live stream of that. Somewhere between 45 and 50. Not horrible, very playable. And again, all that business was with the Vulcan. However, I do want to say this. The Intel-only system requirements, when the Ryzen 7 has been out since March and the Ryzen 5s have been out since April, is straight up amateur hour at this point. Like it or not, my beautiful, fine-feathered friends at Feral, you're going to have to get some of the new AMD parts. They're not going away. In fact, they're selling like fuck-mothering cakes of hot. But that's not with the game itself. The game itself runs fine, so you're going to get the 4.
Oh yeah, the Vulcans, they work reasonably well on the i7 6700K with the GTX 980 on Fedora 24. Everything worked out of the box. Multiplayer, the UI could definitely use some reworking, but once And also, it loads to a loading screen, which loads to another loading screen.
The UI could use some explaining at some point.
Yeah. And like, if you watch the live stream, we're like, all right, is it loading to another loading screen? Is this just another troll? But that's not really a reflection. The multiplayer does in fact work. Frame rates vary. I had everything except for the graphical fidelity. All the model details and whatnot were on high. As well as the anti-aliasing, and I was getting around 80 FPS in game. In multiplayer, I did not pay attention. You can probably go back because I was streaming with the overlay on. So it worked really, really well. Good on Feral for beginning to sort out their Vulcan fuels.
Go Skylake.
Yeah. Go Skylake. 4 chairs.
Yeah, over here with the FX 8370E and the GTX 1080. I had absolutely no issues with performance in game. It was holding around 60 with everything on as high as it'll go, except for anti-aliasing, because that's usually the big performance nope button when it comes to Feral ports. But there was one thing that I did notice was a bit janky, and that was the UI, because the moment you load... Let's say you loaded the game, it would take almost 2 seconds for the characters on the background of the main menu to fully load, and then it would take another couple of seconds before you could actually click on something.
Mm-hmm.
And if you went into a game, and then you say you saved your game, you came back to the main menu, it would do it all over again. And there's a little bit of a menu jank there, but in game proper, it was fine. So I can give it 4 chairs.
All right, well, that's 4 chairs for Mix with Working. Up next is the Shiny and Sounds. Ven, did the blood look crisp and red?
All right. Have you played Dawn of War 2? Yeah, you probably have, or at least you've watched us play it. If you're listening to the audio, go check out. We've reviewed most of them. Videos playing right now, courteous of P-Baby. But Dawn of War 2, have you seen that? Have you seen Chaos Rising? You seen that? Have you seen... Dawn of War Retribution, question mark, have you seen that? Well, then guess fucking what, lads? You already know what this looks like, because, yes, they all look pretty much the damn same, let's just be honest. You know, not good, not great, not fantastic, but not bad. Not bad in the slightest. Just your standard real-time strategy fare. Nothing to write home about. But, you know, it gets the job done, and it does it properly. And I kind of... got to agree with Jordan for once, because he'll expand on this. But when it comes to the sounds, the voice acting, that business is legit, son. At least in the single-player campaign, which, well, that's pretty much all you'll be playing of this game, unfortunately, but I'll talk more about that in the fun section. Hey, it looks all right. It does what it needs to do. I didn't see anything that went, oh, amazeballs. I need to tell someone about this. It's like, it's a continuation of the Warhammer series. There's nothing new here to report. And, you know, sounds all right. Again, nothing amazing, but technically they work, and they're not rubbish, so you get a solid 2.
Yeah, the voice acting is pretty good. Like, the Eldar actors sound like snooty high elves who went into space and are weird hedonist space god worshipping things. And I mean, the orcs sound like red ones go faster, Gorka Morka, and the humans sound like purge the heretics, which is what you'd expect. The Warhammer dialogue can get pretty goofy because there's a fine line you straddle when it comes to Grimdark. You either start getting like super ridiculous, or you can play it straight and it's just kind of all right. This is able to straddle that line. I approve. Visuals wise, though, this game doesn't really do anything to distinguish itself from the hundreds of other RTSs that have been released in the past 10 years, because I get it. Real-time strategy games require you to have a huge number of concurrent units on the screen, all potentially doing different things. So you don't want to jack up the visual fidelity all that much. That being said, when you have technologies like Vulkan that can use massive parallel, I mean, this isn't really a fault of Feral, because they brought Vulkan, tacked it on later on. But, you know, these sorts of techniques exist now where you can use the parallel processing capabilities of your GPU to render a lot of different things in real time. And it still looks like StarCraft 2. I've sat down and watched people play through the entirety of the StarCraft 2 campaign. This looks pretty much identical. Occasionally you go, ooh, a Titan, that's neat. Oh, a Dreadnought, I love those. But that's more recognition of like iconic Warhammer things than any specific visual acumen. Plus, when you have a million things all fighting together, it gets super clusterfucky. So I gotta give it 2 cheers.
Yeah, well, this time around they let you customize the colors of your units. But you never get to see any of that in the heat of things. In fact, unless you zoom all the way in, the only way you have to tell your units apart from the enemy is the color of the HP bar floating above each squad. Still, when you do zoom in, or you get one of the Titan units, everything looks really good, and sure, when they're that big on screen, they're easily identifiable. The voiceover, it just has that right amount of camp and cheesiness to make everyone sound like they were born and raised in the 40k universe. So as far as I'm concerned, the shiny end of sounds have absolutely no issues. They could be better, yes. They could fix the whole unrecognizable or indistinguishable units between your squads and the enemy squads, but it deserves 3 chairs.
All right, well, that's 2 chairs for shining the sounds. Up next is Control. Then, how'd you pan and zoom?
Horrifically. Check us out, man. Short and sweet. You know what? I hate games that don't have WASD for movement out of the box, and I hate them.
How you know how I feel?
I hate them with a fuck-mothering passion. Oh yeah, check this out. It's a feral game. So good guy feral. Yeah, you can rebind all the things, but prepare to sit your happy ass down and spend an hour rebinding all the other bullshit somewhere else that's already mapped to what you would logically expect to pan and zoom and move the camera. This is a Warhammer thing. That's how it's done, and I know there's Warhammer fans out there going, but that's the way you need to learn to do it. Fuck you. All right, this needs to have a Warhammer keyboard default layout and logically laid out like every other fucking game of this genre layout switch on it, but it doesn't. I played it like you were supposed to play it. Couldn't say I got good with it, but you know what? Everything works. You press buttons. It does its things. I can't tell you how many times with my hero I blew his fucking ability, blew his load, if you will, by hitting W because I was like, oh, let's move up. Oh, right. God damn it. It works. 2 chairs.
I mean, I get that the QWERTY as keys are used for the unit and building hotkeys. That's like a StarCraft thing. And we'll get to the StarCraft comparisons in the fun section. No, Strider, it's not an Emacs layout, because the Emacs layout actually makes sense. Hashtag Emacs for life. Hashtag I actually use Nano. Hashtag fuck that. No, but I would really like to be able to pan with the WASD keys. I get that if you hold down middle click and drag around, it'll pan everything. And I didn't figure that out during the stream. I realized, oh wait, could I just middle click? Oh, that would have probably made a better visual thing for the stream. Anyways, yeah, it's standard RTS fare, so no real issues. But yeah, it's just the whole panning and zooming thing, especially with some of the maps where you got to go back and forth and back and forth and back and forth to like micromanage your things, doesn't really do it for me. So I too will give it 2 chairs.
Yeah, it's good to see a bit of a reversal of roles every now and again when it comes to controls, because I'm the one who usually bitches about controls because I can't rebind WASD to the directional arrows. Well, lo and behold, here the directional arrows are the default, and if you want to use WASD, you're going to have to rebind all the things. So you know what? As far as I'm concerned, 4 chairs.
Well, Pedro can be wrong, and he also only has 1 hand. So that's 2 chairs for controls. Let's wrap this up. Ven, did you have fun killing heretics, smashing Xenos, and going fasta, Gorka Morka?
All right. Just go ahead and just get ready to pour all that hate on me next week. I can feel it coming, because you know what? Warhammer, it's just like sports ball. The slightest mention of either in the vicinity of a proper fan will cause you to get your ear organ full. Son, Then you're going to sit back and explain that, hey, man, you only have a passing interest, kind of like I do. I'm just a filthy casual. You know what? That person will happily point you to guides so you can really become more fan. That's kind of the goal there. So, yeah, man. About the game, though, I know what the hell of Warhammer is. That's about as far as I can go. As far as I can tell with my limited knowledge, this is Dawn of War for babbies, and if we're being honest, it's even too dumbed down for my enjoyment. And that's saying a lot. The single-player campaign is basically an overextended tutorial, because that's what it is. Quit lying to yourself. Multiplayer, on the other hand, is absolutely fantastic. Oh, I'm just fucking with you, man. It's a goddamn ghost town on Windows. This critter averages like 1,400 players on a good day with a 50% decline month over month. That's not a good thing. On Linux, you only play against people you've sit down and scheduled a game with. Get that through your head. That's all you're going to get. You're never going to, matchmaking's not going to work. If that does, send me a screenshot. I'll send you a key to another game, say you won something. Even if you do hook up the available multiplayer modes, kind of balls boring. Watch our live stream with Jordan and myself as we explore that nope sauce. So at the end of the day, what is it? Well, it's this. It's collect resources, you build shit, attack the game. Basically, it's Doom 2 minus the nostalgia. That's what we have here with a fuck you price tag on top of it. Fuck you with the one chair then.
Oh yeah, that 71, it's 99 Canadian. That just made my insides hurt. Oh god. Thank you, Farrell, for providing the copies of this game. But yeah, no, they done made StarCraft, which I mean is fine. StarCraft is a perfectly fine real-time strategy game. But Dawn of War 2 made it a fantastic change by focusing just on the squad management, focusing just on like the in the moment skirmish strategy, as opposed to all the micromanaging crap that bogs down most real-time strategy games. And apparently people didn't like that. There were a ton of people who spoke out when Dawn of War 2 originally came out. And they're like, this is garbage. I want to build units and buildings and resources and blah, blah, blah. And so they brought number 3 back to a more traditional real-time strategy game while still keeping a bunch of the squad stuff tacked on. It's not kind of like Tiberian Sun or StarCraft where you actually have to go hunt resources. Instead, it's all based on capturing control points. And the resources there grow super fucking slowly. And it takes forever to ramp up, and it's really, really boring. And the squad-based management stuff feels really tacked on because, there are health drops all throughout the thing that, I'm going to send my guys here. Oh, the wrong guy touched it. So this guy at full health stole the heal and no one else got healed. And here's the thing. Ultimately, everything I can say about this game would just be comparing it to StarCraft, which is interestingly ironic because 40K was kind of the basis for the StarCraft lore and mythology. But I'm not here to review StarCraft. I'm here to review Dawn of War, and it doesn't really make much of a compelling difference. You get the humans, you get the who are the moderately priced guys who you can swarm with, you got the guys who you can super swarm with, and then you got the really powerful units that you got to be really careful and you do the Protoss ball of death thing. And when it boils down to it, I don't really find StarCraft all that fun. I sat down, I played through all the StarCraft campaigns. I even tried my hand at multiplayer, got my ass destroyed. And this is the same sort of thing here. I had StarCraft flashbacks the entire time. So I just can't do it, guys. I really love Dawn of War too, and you could have fucked it up. You fucked it up. One chair.
Oh, they fucked it. They fucked it real hard. I really enjoyed Dawn of War 2, much like Jordan. It's the game that I keep on my laptop for when I have an hour or so to kill. Dawn of War 3, on the other hand, shirks the squad focus, which made its predecessor more of a strategy RPG, and brings back the usual RDS mechanics. Streamlined as the resource collection may be, I get to the point where I have enough to spawn a boatload of units, select all, and then plow my way toward the objective marker, hoping that the objective was one of the things that died or exploded along the way. Now, I loathe pure real-time strategy games, and Dawn of War 3 is very much that. No advanced resource management, everything is boiled down to basics, and the squad management aspect, which had me singing the praises of Dawn of War 2, has been toned down as well. Gone are the loot and equipment drops, and all you do is the standard quote-unquote unit upgrade, which I'm not entirely sure does anything. This isn't an issue with Warhammer or 40k specifically. This is an issue I have with RTS games, and Dawn of War 3 does absolutely nothing to change my mind. And I know I'm not alone here, because if you go on the Steam store, you will see that Dawn of War 2 has overall, it has 86% positive reviews. Dawn of War 3, 42%. That's less than half. They fucked it. One chair.
All right, well, that's one chair for fun. Tally it all, and Dawn of War 3 walks away with 2 chairs. So, final thoughts, gentlemen. Mantelgen.
If we're going to be honest, if you want a Vulcan benchmark, that's about it.
Get the Talos principle instead.
And,
Vulcan benchmark lies.
well, finishing sentences has benefits, because I'm going to say, we don't know exactly what Feral is doing for their Vulcan implementation. It smells a lot like Molten VK that they're using. Don't know, but with Talos, when Talos first launched with Vulcan support, it was slower than their OpenGL render, and now it's better. So it's something to follow on. I don't think this is a particularly good investment, because the price, look at the reviews, they're not good at all, and has nothing to do with us, and we're not going to be able to sway it one way or the other. And you do have the added disbenefit of it's only Linux and Mac players together that can play, so you're really not going to have much of a multiplayer experience unless you already have a current group like we do in the after show that everyone meets, and you can set up times like that. So if you like Dune 2, go find a copy of that on GOG instead.
Yeah, and if you were a fan of the Dawn of War series, play Dawn of War 2, because as some people, as Jordan mentioned, some people brought up the issue that, it's more of a squad management thing. It plays more like an RPG than a real-time strategy game. Yeah, and it did it really well. A lot of people who usually don't enjoy real-time strategy games, like me, like Jordan, actually enjoyed that game. So, you fucked it.
Yeah, and also the like Vince said, the price tag is ridiculous. The fact that there's basically no multiplayer, also pretty bad. The fact that it's trying to be a MOBA and a RTS and a squad-based thing and kind of failing at all of them doesn't really do it any favors. Yeah, I'm just go back to playing Dawn of War 2. But coming up next, we discuss why you absolutely 100% should buy a motherboard, an Intel motherboard for Ven. And, we got some E3 coverage. Ooh.
We are a hateful bunch. We are. We shit on everything high and low. We don't give a damn. But hey, we do have this teeny tiny segment around this time, the end of the show, when we let you hate on us. Every now and again, some of you will actually take us up on it, but it's not exactly the case this week. But if for some reason you do want to hate on us, go to LinuxGameCast.com, you hit the contact button, you fill out the form, make sure LGC Weekly is the thing that you picked on the little drop-downy thing, fill out the form, and if you're a game developer, make sure to send us 3 Steam keys, a bill that we can share among us, whatever you want to throw at us. Just make sure at least the 3 of us can have it, because if you don't, well, then we get to hate on you. So, this week, Mark actually says you guys should adding an Intel CPU to your wish list, and I might consider helping you out.
We am consider adding. Yes. No, so here's the issue I take about the I take of this. And Ben has this whole thing. I'll be quick. We're asking for your help. We're saying we desire these parts for a specific use case. Why? If you don't want to buy us stuff, that's fine. More power to you. You have the right to decide how you spend your money.
Yeah.
But if we're asking for a specific thing and you say, well, I'm not going to help you because you're not using my choice of equipment. Why? This is
You're a
entirely
fanboy.
pointless exercise. No, it's a pointless exercise. Why even bother?
No, and listen, I've wished this is stuff that we are going to get. It's stuff that, if you're new to the show, we do shit on a budget, son, and we don't really have a budget. We've never really had a budget, but with your help, we've been able to string this bullshit together so far, and we've kept this nightmare train rolling. But kind of look at it like this. With Intel, listen, I get it. I feel you. It's definitely a thing, but it makes me remember maybe 2 months back, because there were definitely some people who, I think more so on the Wednesday show, because we have kind of a different crowd showing up, that just like straight up, they're like, hey man, if you set up this Bitcoin thing, I was like, we know what Bitcoin is and it's all that. Yeah, but if you do that, you know, we're just going to make it rain Bitcoins all over your face organs. Well, you know, I sit down, it's like, if that's how people want to rock and roll, hey man, don't be stupid. Let's just go ahead and set that up. Notice how those people Houdini'd the fuck out. I haven't seen them since. Gone. Poof. And, you know, that happened like as soon as we set that up. So, you know, what I'm saying is this, man, we're kind of done adding things that people's like, well, if you do this, then I'll do it. Like, man, just share the show, man. That's really all we ask. That's one of the most powerful things you can do, because we're not really good at like, oh, please help. We're horrible at doing shit. We're horrible at self-promotion. Help us out with the things that we're not good at. It's kind of brilliant. Plus, you're talking about Intel shit, man. You know, ain't nobody dropping 900 wet a stinky American dollars on an i7-6900K, because that, when it comes to multimedia and rendering, is the only thing comparable to a $300 Ryzen 7 1700. It just is. So, what do we have up next?
E3. We got from our good pal Monster Cameron, who is firmly planted in Team Red. He says, "Guys, I've failed you. No Linux games to speak of, except for one. No for a Double Fine, Devolver Digital. But Tail Worlds and the new Mountain Blade are a tentative yes for Linux. I have fresh footage and recorded footage as well. But look who I met. Apparently, frog thrashing clues were in 20 other games." And he sends a picture of a business card.
Hey, is that a poster below it?
I think it's like a business card poster thing. Anyway, it's going to be exciting to see the raw footage that we get back to edit together from Monster C's E3 adventure. I mean, listen, man, 100% give you an A- for effort on that. I going through the trouble of digging around trying to find people. Would have totes given you an A, but I didn't see the first missing persons report come out of E3. And we all know here at LGC, we know it for a fact, kidnapping gets shit done. So that might have been a small problem.
Yeah, and I did hear about Bethesda Land. Apparently, someone got really stupid drunk, and they had to call security and drag the guy out. But if that was you, Cameron? Hey, kudos. If not, what the hell, man?
Yeah, man, come on. If it was Cam, dude, it would have been, somebody got stupid drunk and people were set on fire. It was like, oh, Cameron, that must have been, yeah.
Some guy got stupid drunk and stole a bunch of Radeon cards. Yeah, that's Monster Cameron.
yeah.
All right, I think on that beautiful, beautiful bombshell, let's go ahead and cue the music, because you can always find us around 9:30 Eastern Time. That is 9, 10, 11, 12, 1 p.m., 1 a.m. UTC. Put that in your brain organ. Or just go to our schedule. We have a schedule there just for you. It masks it out. And it's like, yo. Or if you just want notifications, be like, man, I don't have time for this bullshit. Subscribe to LinuxGameCast on YouTube and cut on notifications. We go live 3 times a week. This is not only a live show. We go live on Wednesdays, we go live on Tuesdays, and we go live on Thursdays doing all manners of random bullshittery. If you want to talk to me, I'm at Vince Stone on the Twitters, plus Vince Stone on the G+. I do my best to at least read, get back to what's going on, and send us some of those sweet thoughts, hints, allegations, or questions for next week's show. And remember, we can also answer questions. Jordan is more than happy to answer your dating questions, yeah?
Yeah, I'm Jordan Svung. You can find me stuffing as many RX 480s as I can into my pants at the Burning Pool on Twitter, plus Jordan Svung on Google+. Also send me your relationship advice questions. I will make sure that they will be solved in one way or another.
It's a good idea. Jordan's, we should totally do that at some point. I, on the other hand, am Pedro Matheus. I am very much, hoping I will be moving to the UK, and next time you'll see me, I will be there, but I'm not entirely sure. So for now, you can find me at Unaccounted For on Twitter or plus Pedro Matheus on Google+.
Okay, I think one of the things that we've just learned is as soon as we get the new Ryzen thing, like in about 5 weeks on that, we can start doing like a 3 and a 4 shot, so we can set up a panel show. Love lines for Linux users. That's what I'm hearing, baby.
Linux Love for sale.
Hosted by Jordan Strong.
Here's the name.
Wow, you didn't even try that time.
Hey, man. Show title for that show, Penguin Pumpers.
Yes, please.
Or Penguin Pimps.
Penguin what?
Penguin Pimps.
Okay, we need to get a Cyrus on as a regular contributor.
Oh yes, dating advice from Osiris. Good times.
Okay, and credits.
Ah. They need to borrow some sugar to drop in. Yeah, I may take you up on that, Scree.
After he gets kicked out of his new place, he's gonna have to crash on someone's couch.
Mm-hmm. I mean, Pedro's like a hummingbird, man. You just give him some sugar water, he's fine.
Well, listen. Here's the thing. Because Pedro has this tendency of killing projects, maybe if he moves to England, the Brexit will be cancelled because he'll kill it.
So I will have done something good in my life. Okay. All right.
Too easy. Maybe you'll become the new PM.
Ooh. I have no intentions of becoming a UK citizen just yet.
5 dudes.